What is up, YouTube? I'm back with my first video of the Car Chronicles, but this time I'm using a weird Snapchat filter to help make my intro. So essentially, in the last video, I talked about my 5 predictions that I made, and I provided like a little photo that you could probably hardly even read. Well, here it is in better definition, and then I'm going to elaborate on each of these 5 and why I made these 5 predictions. And hopefully, all 5 of them could be right. That'd be sick if I get all 5 of these right. But regardless, I want to at least talk about my takes, and what better way to start off the Car Chronicles is doing predictions where I already have the first one right. So see you in a second. And I am back. Well, so for the Car Chronicles, I'll probably be more about like this, honestly, because obviously I don't have a stand for my phone for my car, so I'm just putting it in between the hole in the steering wheel of my car to basically help prop it up and give me a good angle. So essentially, with these 5 predictions, I talked about the first one already, but I might as well. I'm going to talk about all 5. So the first one goes, England won't win this World Cup because they are overrated and crack under pressure. Well, if you go back to the France and England game yesterday, you could tell where England, essentially messed up their second pre-kick. Basically, what I was saying was essentially came true, where Harry Kane had the second penalty kick to tie the game and possibly move to overtime or extra time. They didn't do it. They failed. What more English way than missing out on going to the next round because of penalty kicks? And then the second prediction I made was the Hawks won't make the playoffs this year because Trae Young is a comparatively low basketball IQ, and DeJounte Murray can't guard all 5 positions. Well, with this take, I admit I was a little bit harsh to Trae Young. However, he is a very inefficient shooter. Surely he has some really great nights where he goes off and scores 40 points a night. Well, some nights. But then there's just those other nights where he's just totally, he's cold ice Trae. He just becomes ice cold some games, and he just has a terrible field goal percentage, just taking terrible shots just so he could possibly get in a groove. Kind of has that gambling mentality, I guess. But there's nothing wrong in believing in yourself. But regardless, as a number one, you need a reliable shooter that is going to be consistent. Not shooter, but just as a number one, you want someone that's consistent. Like, you want, Jason Tatum this year, for example, is putting up MVP numbers where he's averaging 30 points a game. And, not every night he's putting up 30, of course. Some nights he's putting up terrible numbers. But, again, when you're averaging 30 points and leading your team to a current best record, you want someone that's way bigger, way lengthier. Trae Young is a short dude. He's my height, actually. He's not even that short. He's my height. I believe he's 6'2", around that height. And regardless, DeJounte Murray can't not being able to guard 5 positions is true. He is a very good defender. And there are some nights that he's really, really good, of course. And, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray are going to be great duo down the road. I really think they'll be a really good team. But regardless, when you have those two as your starting two, your 1 and 2 players, you need a very good supporting cast. And I don't see the Hawks doing that this year. I mean, sure, they got, John Collins, who is a good player, don't get me wrong. He's in the NBA, obviously. He's a very good player. He's better than 99% of the people in the world. But, if anything, he's just not a solid piece to, have a consistent starter and, do his thing. And then Clint Capella is a center, dude. I never liked Clint Capella, honestly. He does put up stats occasionally, and, obviously big body, physical guy. But overall, I think what killed it for me was, if you go back to, there's a social media post with the Hawks where they had, these little Polaroid, yes. Okay. What killed it for me with Clint Capella was there was a social media post for the Atlanta Hawks that had these Polaroid photos of all the leading players for the Hawks, all the starters essentially, and what their goals are for the upcoming year. And Clint Capella, everybody else that was doing the Polaroid pictures wanted to win. one way or another, I believe there was some other goals in mind too. But overall, they wanted to win. And so Clint Capella put Eastern Conference Finals and defensive, like, first team, I believe it was. Regardless, I'm going to have the photo up anyways. But essentially, he's a selfish player, it feels like. And, like, I feel like it's kind of tone deaf, where it's like everybody's just putting win the championship. And, like, obviously he didn't get the memo. He didn't get the memo that the first and foremost part of, like, playing, if you have a passion for the game at least, is to win the championship. And clearly Clint Capella does not have that. So yeah, I don't believe the Hawks are going to make the playoffs. There's just no chance. And then number 3, the Vikings will not make the Super Bowl this year because Kirk Cousins sucks in primetime. Well, today the Lions played the Vikings, and the Lions not blew the doors off the Vikings, but, like, it wasn't really close, let's be honest. Like, the scoreboard definitely, like, I'll go more in depth tomorrow about for my recap about the Lions and Vikings game. But yeah, the Vikings are good. Like, they're a frustrating team, because if you look back, like, years and years, Vikings have always been a sound team with very talented players, but there's always something that just fucks them. It's just a cursed team. Like, I'll never forget the Blair Walsh missed field goal that was like a chip shot, and that would have, like, either went to overtime and go, like, or win that playoff game, and he missed it. I believe, I can't even think the last time the Vikings won a Super Bowl. Obviously the Brett Favre year, they went to the NFC Championship game, and Brett Favre threw one of the most disgusting interceptions I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, now the Vikings they're just one of those cursed teams that, like, I don't know, man. They just, no matter how good they seem, there's always something that happens, and they just fuck themselves. And they even had, like, some great moments in the playoffs too, like the Minneapolis Miracle, just to lose. So yeah, no, so I don't think the Vikings have a chance. I mean, the Eagles are looking nasty too, and I think if anything, the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl before the Vikings. Number 4, Nikola Jokic will be snubbed from winning his 3rd straight MVP because voters are dumb. Well, yes, voters are dumb, and they make no sense sometimes with how they vote, because at the end of the day, they're all old schmucks that have been doing this shit forever, and they're not in touch. Regardless, like, it's very rare for a player to win 3 in a row. Like, you have to put up, like, such amazing numbers and have your team go above and beyond to be, like, the first seed, like, at the minimum. Like, Jokic having back-to-back MVPs, you have such high expectations coming into the season, where it's like, you've been to the playoffs all these times, you see Giannis with a good team that he had, like, he can do it, so why can't you do it? Like, the Nuggets have a good team. They have Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., some other really good players. I mean, I can't think of all the players off the top of my head, but, the Nuggets have a solid team. They've always been in the playoffs. They always make their runs, and Jokic is that lead guy, and, like, he has such a special set of tools for such a tall guy. Like, just his passing alone, like, it's just insane. Like, he's one of the best passing big men in the entire league. So, Jokic, at the end of the day, in order for him to really be able to get that 3rd MVP, he would have to put such legendary numbers. And, I mean, he's doing Jokic things, like, don't get me wrong, but, I just don't think he'll do it this year. There's just no chance. You have to go really far back to find someone that won 3 MVPs in a row. And then lastly, my 5th one is not all 4 AFC East teams will make the playoffs because one team will choke in Week 18. This one, I feel like I was kind of shooting too close to the sun with, because, like, I was very specific with this prediction, because, if I somehow get all 5 right, it would be one of the most legendary predictions, I think, in the world. Like, if I put a parlay on these 5 and get the odds, I would probably make an insane amount of money if I got all these 5 predictions right. But, I mean, first off, it's hard for all 4 AFC East teams to make the playoffs. I mean, the Patriots are in last place, but, like, they have a chance technically. Like, their schedule is very hard, and they probably won't make it. Like, I mean, they'll probably be out of the playoffs before even Week 18 even starts, honestly, because unless Bill Belichick just crafts some masterclass gameplaying and just puts Matt Patricia in a fucking hole, there's no chance that the Patriots are even going to be in playoff contention by week 18 anyway. So I think that's going to be wrong. But even like a 4 out of 5, I think that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, so that's episode 1 of the Car Chronicles. I think this will be a common format for me, especially if I'm recording early in the morning or late at night. Like, you know, right now, like, I'm able to put out 3 videos in one day is because, like, you know, I'm not working or anything of the injury that I had playing basketball. So, you know, right now I'm going to be able to crank out a lot of videos and hopefully 1 catches. But, you know, when I start working again and, you know, going to the gym and doing all this other stuff, like, you know, like a normal person would, you know, I'm definitely going to be slowing down a lot of my content. So, like, you know, if you want to see a lot more takes from me, like, definitely follow me on Twitter, because, like, I'll probably be saying my sports takes and just getting the random sports arguments on there. But yeah, and I mean, I have Instagram, TikTok too. Hopefully I'll start cranking out content. Oh, it's so easy, like with a filter like how I just had that for my intro. I think I can make some creative content for TikTok and Instagram too. So keep in touch on all my socials to see all the different content that I make. Anyways, thanks for watching.